Hello and welcome to another episode of Biblical Unlocks. This show is designed to help you build your habit of reading the Bible, understanding the Bible, and applying it in your daily life. Studies routinely show that reading your Bible regularly significantly helps to lower symptoms of depression, anxiety, and loneliness, whilst also increasing a sense of purpose, meaning, and happiness. So, if you enjoy episodes like this, please feel free to follow and rate the show. Helps me out a lot. It's free. Otherwise, just enjoy the show. And today we're going to be watching or listening to Exodus 28, which describes the priestly garments which must be made for Aaron and his sons so that they can serve as priests before the Lord. And the chapter gives precise designs, materials for the ephod, the breastpiece of the judgment, the breastplate, the robe of ephod, the coat, the turban, or the mitre, with a gold plate inscribed, Holy to the Lord, the sash, special linen garments for approaching God. The garments are crafted for glory and beauty, so that they can set apart the priests, so that they can carry the name of Israel on their shoulders. So the garments are created again for glory and beauty, the names of Israel on their shoulders, and heart as a perpetual remembrance, and to enable accurate decision making before the Lord. So a little bit of context here, just so if you haven't watched any of the other episodes on Exodus, that's completely fine. You can get stuck in straight here. In Exodus 25 to 27, God gave the tabernacle pattern. That's basically the altar where sacrifices are going to be made to the Lord. And so the altar that was made took a while in Exodus 25 to 27. It was basically a tutorial on how to build that altar. And after the people had pledged some contributions, or will pledge some contributions, that's going to happen in Exodus 35. He's now going to shape the human mediators. That is, he's going to shape the people who are going to minister for God. And that's what's going to happen here. And in Exodus 28, we're going to see both a theological part, who is the priest, and what should they wear, and what does it mean to represent people before God. And the garments are actually going to visually and functionally embody that holiness. So without further ado, let's read it through Exodus 28. So Exodus 28, 40 verses. Verse 1. Then bring near to you brother Aaron and his sons with him, from among the Israelites, to serve me as priests, Aaron and Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar. You shall make sacred vestments for the glorious adornment of your brother Aaron, and you shall speak to all who are skillful, whom I have endowed with skill, so that they make Aaron's vestments to consecrate him for my priesthood. These are the vestments that they shall make: a breastplate, an ephod, a robe, a checkered tunic, a turban, and a sash. When they make these sacred vestments for your brother Aaron and his sons to serve me as priests, they shall use gold, blue, purple, and crimson yarns and fine linen. They shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, purple, and crimson yarns, and of fine twisted linen, skillfully worked. It shall have 2 shoulder pieces attached to its 2 edges, so that it may be joined together. The decorative band on it shall be the same workmanship and materials, of gold, of blue, purple, and crimson yarns, and of fine twisted linen. You shall take 2 onyx stones and engrave on them the names of the sons of Israel, 6 of their names on the one stone, and the names of the remaining 6 on the other stone, in order of their birth. As a gem cutter engraves signets, so you shall engrave the 2 stones with the names of the sons of Israel. You shall mount them in settings of gold filigree. You shall set the 2 stones on the shoulder pieces of the ephod, as stones of remembrance for the sons of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord on his 2 shoulders, for remembrance. You shall make settings of gold filigree, and 2 chains of pure gold, twisted like cords, and you shall attach the corded chains to the settings. Verse 15. You shall make a breastplate of judgment in skilled work. You shall make it in the style of the ephod, of gold, of blue, of purple and crimson yarns, and of fine twisted linens you shall make it. It shall be square and doubled, a span in length and a span in width. You shall set it in 4 rows of stones. A row of carnelian, chrysolite, and emerald shall be the first row, and the second row a turquoise, a sapphire, and a moonstone, and the third row a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst, and the fourth row a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold filigree. There shall be 12 stones with names corresponding to the names of the sons of Israel. They shall be like signets, each engraved with its names for the 12 tribes. You shall make for the breastpiece chains of pure gold, twisted like cords, and you shall make for the breastpiece 2 rings of gold, and attach the 2 rings on the 2 edges of the breastplate. You shall put the 2 cords of gold in the 2 rings at the edges of the breastpiece. The 2 ends of the 2 cords you shall attach to the 2 settings, and so attach it in front of the shoulder piece, in front to the shoulder pieces of the ephod. You shall make 2 rings of gold and put them at 2 ends of the breastpiece. On its inside edge next to the ephod you shall make 2 rings of gold and attach them in front to the lower part of the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod, at its joining above the decorated band of the ephod. The breastpiece shall be bound by its rings to the rings of the ephod with a blue cord, so that it may lie on the decorated band of the ephod, and so that the breastpiece shall not come loose from the ephod. So Aaron shall bear the names of the sons of Israel in the breastpiece of judgment on his heart when he goes into the holy place, for a continual remembrance before the Lord. In the breastpiece of judgment you shall put the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be on Aaron's heart when he goes in before the Lord. Thus Aaron shall bear the judgment of the Israelites on his heart before the Lord continually. Verse 31. You shall make the robe of the ephod all of blue. It shall have an opening for the head in the middle of it, with a woven binding around its edge, like the opening in a garment, so that it may not be torn. On its lower hem you shall make pomegranates of blue, purple, and crimson yarns, all around the lower hem, with bells of gold between them all around, a golden bell and a pomegranate alternating all around the lower hem of the robe. Aaron shall wear it when he ministers, and its sound shall be heard when he goes into the holy place before the Lord, and when he comes out, so that he may not die. Verse 36. You shall make a rosette of pure gold, and engrave on it, like the engraving of a signet, holy to the Lord. You shall fasten it on the turban with a blue cord. It shall be on the front of the turban. It shall be on Aaron's forehead. And Aaron shall take on himself any guilt incurred in the holy offerings that the Israelites consecrate as their sacred donations. It shall always be on his forehead, in order that they may find favor before the Lord. Verse 39. You shall make the checkered tunic of fine linen, and you shall make a turban of fine linen, and you shall make a sash embroidered with needlework. Verse 40. For Aaron's sons you shall make tunics, and sashes, and headdresses. You shall make them for their glorious adornment. You shall put them on your brother Aaron, and on his sons with him, and shall anoint them, and ordain them, and consecrate them, so that they may serve me as priests. You shall make for them linen undergarments to cover their naked flesh. They shall reach from the hips to the thighs. They shall be worn by Aaron and his sons when they go into the tent of meeting, or when they come near to the altar to minister in the holy place, so that they do not bring guilt upon themselves and die. This shall be a perpetual ordinance for him and for his descendants after him. Alright, time for some deep biblical unlocks. Verses 1 to 5. What do we see? We see that God chooses Aaron and his sons from the tribe of Levi to minister. And the chapter immediately lists materials and urges that skilled artisans do the work. That is gold, blue, purple, scarlet yarn, fine linen, and acacia wood, among other things. The people's offerings of these materials, and the craftsman Bezalel Oholiab, who is also named elsewhere in Exodus 31 and 35, he makes these garments possible. So the idea here is that priestly ministry is an appointed calling, and it's not self-selected. It requires the community's gifts and skilled labor. So worship actually requires both the calling and the craft. In verses 6 to 14, the ephod. What's the ephod? Ephod. Ephod is a richly woven vest, an apron-like garment with shoulder pieces, and on each shoulder piece are settings of onyx stones, engraved with the names of the 12 sons of Israel, 6 on each stone. The shoulder stones serve as a permanent memorial so that the tribes are remembered before the Lord. What does shoulders mean? Shoulders is just, it represents representation. That's what it equals, representation. To put the names on the shoulders is to carry the people before God in the visible public ministry. And the shoulder placement suggests that leaders carry the burden and responsibility of the people. The precious stones, that shows that there is value and identity in these tribes' names. The tribes' names are set in precious stones, and that underlines that each member of God's people treasured and presented before God. Verses 15 to 30, we see the breastplate of judgment and Urim and Thummim. So, breastplate, or the breastpiece, the breastplate of decision and judgment, is basically a square pouch containing the 12 stones set in 4 rows, right? So 4 rows, so there'll be 3 in each row. Named for the tribes, it also serves as a pocket for the Urim and the Thummim. What is the Urim and the Thummim? We saw this in verse 30. They're basically objects associated in ancient Israel with discerning the Lord's will in specific questions. And the breastplate is attached to the ephod with gold chains and settings. So, breast, that's the heart and the conscience. That's what it represents, or represented in ancient Near East. Placing the tribes over the priest's breasts mean that people are close to the priest's heart as he ministers, and decisions are made with the people's welfare at the heart of that mediation. Urim and Thummim, that is access to God's guidance, whilst it must be mentioned that the text does not explicitly or exhaustively explain how they function. Their presence in the breastplate indicates that when you're making decisions or seeking discerning God's wisdom, it's not done privately or casually, but within sacred and mediated means. Verses 31 to 35, the robe of ephod. So the robe is a seamless blue garment worn under the ephod. Its hem is decorated with alternating bells and pomegranates. So a bell, then a pomegranate, then a bell, then a pomegranate. So that the priest, as the priest moves the bells, makes sound. And above the mitre, a golden plate, or tzitz in Hebrew, is fixed, inscribed, "Holy to the Lord," bound on the turban with a blue cord. So, what does this all mean? The bells, that's audible ministry. The sound signals the priest's approach and functions in the sanctuary. An audible holiness and a call to attention. And tradition also suggests that it warned of life and death access to the most holy place. It's a bit like with an MRI room. You know, the MRI room has a lot of sounds and a lot going on there, so that you don't enter. Right, in the same way, there's the sound that the priest, as they walk, the bells start to ring, and it's a warning, don't enter. Pomegranates represent fruitfulness and visual beauty, and they also signify abundance, fertility, and the aesthetic adornment of holiness. Holy to the Lord, the high priest's forehead bears God's claim. His ministry is consecrated and publicly marked as belonging to the Lord, and the forehead plate proclaims that priestly speech and actions are ordered to God's sanctity. So there's a lot of deep biblical unlocks that we can understand, and symbolism here that we wouldn't have otherwise. So that's it for this episode of Biblical Unlocks. This show is designed to help you keep up your habit of reading the Bible, understanding the Bible, and applying it in your daily life. I upload daily, so if you don't want to miss tomorrow's episode, feel free to rate the show and follow. Otherwise, just have a blessed day. And always remember, If you're not in your word, you're in your feelings. Godspeed.